Welcome to the Lady Up America podcast. I'm Diane Canada, your host. I'm so glad you're here today. Thanks for joining me. Ladies, as we wrap up this week, I want to make sure that I remind you that early voting now is open in Tennessee. I live in the Nashville vicinity, and depending on what county you're in, if you live in this area, it might be adjusted by a day or two. But in my county, early voting opened up today, and depending on where you live in your part of the country, you can go and check and see if early voting is available to you. Now, I'm going to walk you through a few things today that I just didn't know before I was in politics. So come on back and let me just maybe give you a couple of tips and hacks to make this easy for you and also to compel you to vote early and why. Be right back. Around this town, lady up around this town, victory on the battleground, we claim it now. Lady up, lady up. Lady up, lady up. Okay, ladies, so the first hack that I want to give you is that there is a great app out there that simplifies your voting process so much if you live in Tennessee. You can go to the App Store and look up Go Vote TN, which the initials for Tennessee. So Go Vote TN in your App Store if you live in Tennessee, and download that app, and it will simplify things so much for you. So many states have similar apps, and you can find out if there is one in two places generally. You can Google election commission in your state, in your county, and a lot of times that will have prompts there that will guide you to see if there is an app. Or you can go to your Secretary of State's website. So just type in Secretary of State and then whatever state you're in, and it will pull up their website, and it should give you and options on there to go and find if there's an app for you. I know it takes a little bit of effort, but this is so critically important this election season. A lot of people don't vote because they just find it to be cumbersome and overwhelming. And I want to just hopefully simplify it for you a lot today. So if you live in Tennessee, the Go Vote TN app, and again, similarly, probably in other states, it gives you great information like you put in your address and it will tailor the app to you, and it will say, okay, in your county, here are the early voting poll locations, and here is the general election poll locations. So typically those are different. Okay, so where you normally go to vote if you wait until election day might be different than where you vote for early voting. Okay, that they're typically very different places. So that app or the Secretary of State website or the Election Commission website will give you a list of early voting polling locations. Or if you wait till November 5th, election day polling locations. So make sure you're pulling up the right one if you're voting early or waiting until election day. Here, the other thing that those apps will give you is it will give you the ballot information. It'll tell you ahead of time who's going to be on that ballot when you go into the voting booth. So you can, you're going to know the traditional one. Of course, the most prominent ones is going to be the president. Maybe you might know your state senators, but they're also going to have on there your state representatives, your state senators, your state members, those candidates that are running for House of Representatives. It might have school board candidates on it. It might have county commissioners on it. So you don't want to wait until you're in the booth to try to be figuring out who do I vote for. A lot of people will just vote what they call down ballot. They'll see the R beside their name, meaning Republican. And so they'll just vote Republican. And that's fine. You can do that. But what if you come up against someone who's got an independent running against the Republican and the Democrat? Or there are some races that don't delineate between Republican and Democrat. And so you want to be just informed if you can and do a little bit of homework on these candidates before you just cast your vote for them. I see a lot of people doing that. They go in, they just maybe want to vote for Trump and they don't know any of the other names on the list. And so they're just sort of guessing. And it's just a very irresponsible way to vote. I'm just going to say it. It was for me too. I did it for years. And so no judgment. Okay. But we need to be a little bit more responsible than that. So this is a way you can do it. These apps will give you the ballot information, meaning who all is going to be on that ballot. And then you can just Google them, look at their site, look at maybe some YouTube videos that they've put out. Another place that you can go to research them that is really key is a website called Ballotpedia. Ballotpedia. So Ballotpedia, ballotpedia.org, I think it is. And I'll have the link in the show notes here. But you can go there, and each candidate, if they are an incumbent, meaning that they are already in the seat and they're trying to keep the seat, then you can look at their voting record. You can look at how much they won their last race by. You can look at what they stand for. You can see if they have kind of walked what they talked in their seat. They maybe campaigned on being, you know, pro life, and did that change at all in their voting records? So you can look at things like that. If they are a candidate and they don't have a record yet, Ballotpedia does gather a lot of great information from them, and they will also have questionnaires on there that they ask the candidates to fill out. And so you can go and look and see what their answers are and see where they stand on things and how they feel about things. A lot of times on Ballotpedia too, they can submit videos. And so that's like a one-stop shop place that you can go to learn about your candidates. But ballotpedia.org, great place to go for information. Or, like I said, the Go Vote TN app will give you all of your sample ballot list, so you can see who else is going to be on that list when you go in to vote, to cast your vote. It will also give you so much great information about the last election. It'll give you up to date information about this current election. There's just a world of information available to you in there to simplify it. But you can pull up your early voting poll location and then go cast your vote early. Here's why I recommend you do that. I know there are a lot of Republicans that choose to vote on election day. That's kind of a habit. It's like a tradition for them. They don't want to cast their votes early. But here's why I'm an advocate for early voting. It was in 2020 that I had my whole day planned out. I was going to go and cast my vote in the primary election. That's where we elect our primary candidate to run for president. I had planned to go and vote for Trump that day, and again, all my plans laid out on my errand list was to stop and cast my vote on that election day for the primary. And we had a terrible tornado that came through the Nashville area. And I instead went with some friends, and we went and participated in the cleanup process and helped our neighbors. And so I completely forgot about going to vote. And so I wasn't able to go and make my voice heard at the polls that day. And I was sick over it. At the end of the day, I was like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot. And it was too late. So anything can happen. Things can happen. You could get sick. There's so many things that could happen on November 5th that could interrupt your ability to go vote. So I ask you to go vote early if you can. If it's at all possible, don't wait and gamble November 5th, because we, as Christian conservative moms, we cannot afford for our voice to not be heard this election season. So I ask you to please, please, please go vote. And that's all I really want to share with you today. It's so important. We've got so much on the line. Our country is literally on the line. There's never been, in my opinion, there's never been a more consequential election than this one of 2024. We absolutely cannot sit home. Like, sitting home this election season is not an option. Our children, our grandchildren are on the line here. There's nothing more important than this. And we cannot afford another 4 years of what we've had. We will not recognize our country at the end of it. We will literally be handing our children over to Marxists, to pedophiles. We think it's bad. Now look at the changes in our country over the last 4 years. And this is when they knew they still had another election that they have to win. So they've gone a little mild compared to what they want to do. If Kamala Harris gets in there, we will not recognize our country 4 years from now. So this is the time to rise and shine, ladies. Go cast your vote. Please download the Go Vote TN app, or if you're in another state, Google your election commission or your Secretary of State and find out how to get an app if you have one in your state, or where your early voting polling locations are through those websites. And please make plans between now and November 5th. to go vote. I beg you. All right. That's all we're going to talk about today. I love you. I have faith in you. You're going to show up and vote. Pinky swear right now. You're going to go vote. Okay. I'm going to hold. God sees pinky swears. Okay. All right. I'll see you guys next week. Lady up. Around this house, lady up.